Okay, so this commentary is going to give away a lot of secrets, a lot of plot secrets, story secrets, reveals, things that you probably don't want to know if you haven't seen the movie yet. So I would say if you have not watched the movie all the way through without the commentary, first of all, shame on you. And second of all, you should stop now and go back and watch the movie first, and then come back and we'll talk. Hi, everybody. My name's Steve Anderson. I'm the director of Meet the Robinsons, and I'm very excited to be here talking to you about this movie, a labor of love for myself and many people. I was on the movie for about 4.5 years from first receiving the script through the release of the movie. It was about 4.5 years, so which is typical. Animated movies usually take about anywhere between 3 to 5 years to make. So the basic story of this movie came from a script that was written by a writer named John Bernstein, along with two development executives that used to work here at the studio. And they developed a script over the course of the year 2002. So the time travel idea, Lewis being Wilbur's dad, and the idea of Lewis searching for his birth mom, answers to his past, that was all from the original script. That came from that original script that John Bernstein wrote. And I got handed the script in December of 2002 and was asked if this was something I would be interested in developing and possibly directing someday. And I read it. Basically, after page 1, I said, yeah, I'm going to do this, because as I read the script and realized this was a story about a boy who wants to be adopted and who is asking questions about where he came from, I connected immediately to Lewis because I was adopted as well. The questions that Lewis was asking in this story, those ideas of where did I come from, who is my birth mother, what does she look like, and most importantly, why did she give me up? Those questions I'd asked ever since I could remember. So I immediately understood him. I knew what was going on in his head. And I identified with him and I said, I've got to tell the story. I've got to bring the story to life. Two of the major things that I wanted to do with the story when I got that first script was really boost the emotional through line of the story, this notion of Lewis's quest for his mother, as well as come up with a theme for the movie. The movie didn't really have a theme, didn't add up to anything. It didn't have a statement that it wanted to make. And we desperately needed that. I'm a firm believer in having a theme that helps control the story and where it evolves, and it helps you as a filmmaker make your decisions throughout the course of the development process, and keeps the movie cohesive. It keeps everything together. The theme evolved as I talked with John Bernstein, the original writer, about some of our experiences with adoption. I've known I was adopted ever since I can remember. My parents were very open about that, and they always told me, when you become an adult, when you reach the age of 18, and if you want to go find the birth records and contact your birth parents, we will support that. We're all for that. And as a kid, there was no question in my mind I was going to do that. 18 was the magic age. When I got it to be 18, I was going to go do that. Absolutely. And I lived with that in mind on the horizon for so long. Now, one day I woke up and realized, you know what? I'm 24. I've had all these years where I could have done this, and I haven't done it. Why hadn't I done it? Well, I'd forgotten that was even an issue for me. I didn't have that void in my life. It needed to be filled because I was lucky enough to be adopted into a very loving, supportive family. And what was more important to me at the time was where my life was going and what I wanted to do with my life, and not what had happened to me in the past. And that kind of we hit on something in that story. We thought, well, that's the theme of the movie, that you have to let go of the past and you have to look to the future. That's where hope comes from, not from dwelling on the things that happened to you, the failures, the things that could have gone better, the things that didn't happen that you wanted to happen, but where you want to go in your life, what is ahead of you.
Makes your hands all sticky. Yeah. Well, I propose that the perfect PB&J is within mankind's grasp, and I've built this machine.
One of the most consistent story struggles we had with the movie was to find a way to connect the memory scanner invention with the adoption angle. The original script never really brought those together, and we struggled with it as we developed it on storyboards as well for a really long time. Lewis wanting to find his mom and invent this machine to do that, and we had Lewis wanting to be adopted. And those two things never really came together. Eventually, we got to this point of thinking about Lewis as a kid who wants to be wanted. He's someone who is desperate to find somebody in the world who wants him. I want to remember my mother so that I can prove that she wanted me. She gave me up not because she wanted to, but because she had to. So if he could prove that, then that would mean there would be someone in the world who would want him. It would give him then the hope to continue to search for a family, because that means he is wantable. The character of Mildred was an interesting one, and she needed to be the real emotional core for Lewis at the beginning of the movie. He doesn't have anybody else do that for him. The Robinsons ultimately end up being that in the family that he gets. But at the beginning of the movie, he needed somebody to be there for him, so he's not just alone in this world. And Angela Bassett brought so much warmth to Mildred. It was such a pleasure to have her voice, what she brought to this character. And also what was important to me too is that with Mildred running an orphanage, her goal, her sole purpose is to make sure that these kids stay focused on getting a family. If they get too comfortable in the situation that they're in, if she's too much of a mother to them, then they're never going to want to leave, because they won't have that desire to get out there and find another family. And I talked about that with Angela. She really got it. And I think she really walked that line between being warm and caring, but never getting too motherly, never getting too emotional in there, never, crossing that line. She was able to keep a balance and keep her distance to a certain extent, so that Lewis never saw her as the mother figure. She's just such a sweet woman, Angela, and boy, she just poured everything of herself into this role. I wish we could have had more Mildred in the movie. Meet Mildred. Maybe that'll be the sequel.
And we'll be a family again.
Whoa, Louis, you can't do that. No one knows anything about her. No one even saw her.
Wrong. I saw her once.
So we have this montage here, this memory scanner creation montage with the brilliant song by Rufus Wainwright. I was so pleased that we got this song in the movie. It was in the movie probably 2 years ago, and then it went away for various reasons, and I was so thrilled that we were able to bring it back for this version of the movie. It fit even better now that we skewed the montage more to, it's all about the memory scanner, and it's all about reconnecting with mom. So suddenly the lyrics, give me just one more chance, it made so much more sense. It used to be part of an adoption montage where we saw various interviews of Lewis and prospective parents, and we saw them consistently go wrong, and Lewis get rejected time after time after time. It worked well there, but I don't think it worked as well as it does now that we have this motivation for the memory scanner and what Lewis really wants that memory scanner to bring to him, finding his mom. It's a great song. I love the song. This montage was kind of the brainchild of Joe Mateo, one of our story artists. This has been in pretty much every version of the movie since we began this montage of inventing the memory scanner. And Joe just brought so much life to it. Great shots and this kind of quick cutting that's going on here, and the inserts of welding and driving screws into the base of the memory scanner, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, so tired.
We'll see you at 2:00 this afternoon. He'll be so excited you're coming.
Earlier in the film, when we first meet Lewis as a 12-year-old, we see him finish his peanut butter and jelly hat and freeze. He goes into his kind of zone out mode. And we used to begin this little sequence here with Mildred going into Lewis with that idea as well. It was something that I was reading about Tesla. Tesla lived in a hotel. So a lot of times the hotel staff would come up to his room to deliver meals or whatever it may be, and they'd find him just exactly doing what Lewis did, zoned out. He was in some kind of trance and seemed impossible to revive and break him out of that trance. And I thought, well, that's kind of a funny idea. And we always looked for ways to make Lewis quirky without making him weird. You wanted to always care about him, and you wanted him to be a grounded character, but tried to find little ways of giving him some idiosyncrasies. And that felt like a good one. I like that idea that maybe every time he finishes an invention, the magnitude of the achievement just is so much for him that he just goes into his own little world and kind of disappears for a while. So I was happy that we were able to keep that in the movie, and I thought it was a great way to introduce Lewis, 12-year-old Lewis, to the audience.
You have got to get out of the past and look to the future.
I am, and this is it. This is my future. I'm sorry.
Lewis, honey.
Dr. Crunklehorn, I know you're very busy there at Inventco Labs.
It was such a joy to work with Laurie Metcalf. She was amazing, and she breathed such life into Dr. Crunklehorn and Lucille, Grandma Robinson as well. The Crunklehorn part, she seemed to really take to immediately. But the grandma part, she was a little bit concerned about. She kind of came in and said, I don't do voices. I don't really do that kind of thing. I don't know how to do that. She was very humble about herself. And I said, no, you can do it. You can totally do it. And she did.
This is one of our students, Stanley Pukowski.
Oh, it's so cute.
This whole sequence was really the brainchild of Don Hall, our head of story. I think it's one of a handful of sequences that really hasn't changed much from the very beginning. It's been pretty much this structure all the way through. Really a testament to Don's talent, because Don wrote this whole thing himself, boarded the whole thing himself.
Stanley, Volcano.
Behold, the awesome.
Don created the coach character and does the voice of the coach as well. He said that it was really based on his own gym teacher. So an example of one of our own crew members doing a voice, which that is the case throughout the movie. There's quite a lot of us who do voices on the movie. Don created the coach. He created Crunklehorn. She was completely Don's creation. Don made the connection of Crunklehorn actually being Lucille, Lewis's mom, at the end of the film. Lizzie, Stanley, Willerstein, all these characters are Don's.
My enemies.
Just keep moving, shall we? Top notch, Lizzie. Let's not anger her or make her jumpy in any way.
Wilbur's big introduction here. This character was one we struggled with pretty early on. We wanted him to have a very specific voice, but it took a while to find that voice. Wilbur grew into a real cocky and overconfident, very direct, very no-nonsense kind of character who will manipulate you or whoever he needs to manipulate to serve his purpose. And that's what he does. And I think little things, too, like Joe Mosier, our character designer, added that lightning bolt on Wilbur's chest on his shirt. And it was completely unexpected and not what we never drew that in the storyboards, or, it was just something that Joe threw on there. But this, how many 13-year-old kids can wear a lightning bolt on their chest with confidence?
I mean headquarters.
I know what HQ means.
Good. You're a smart kid. That might keep you alive.
So it just really said something about this character, how puckish and confident, overconfident this kid is. It really, in an odd way, it helped define the character even more as we designed the character. And Joe threw that in. It just solidified the character even more in all our minds. And wait.
Hello? Am I on? Doris, it's working. Oh, goody. We cut through the transmission. Hello, everyone. This is your old friend, Mike Yagubian, and I'm here to tell you the real story behind Meet the Robinsons. The secrets, the scandals, the backstabbing, the crushed egos. All the Hollywood dirt that you won't get from that other guy's commentary. But first, snacks! Not a movie without snacks, is it? And look, every kernel popped. Quality. Doris, you want some? Oh, right. Secrets. Yes, well, it all started 3 years ago as I lounged by the pool at an exclusive Beverly Hills hotel and... Wait, what's happening? Doris, we're losing the signal. Wait, get it back. Oh, no.
Wait, I think I got some weird static in my headphones. I couldn't hear myself over that static. It was really...
We're not hearing it in here at all.
You didn't hear that? All right.
Won't let you down.
Well, are we still rolling?
All right, Lewis, I try.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, anyways, that's the cool thing about this movie and the fact that it's a time travel movie and you can really show so much of the life of a character that you can get consistencies throughout the movie that add up to a whole. Since we know that Lewis became Cornelius Robinson, he's a big inventor. Well, what are the consistencies about Lewis that led to that moment? And so we devised the pitch at the beginning. Starts with a question, and then I propose, and he lays out his invention. Same thing happens here at the science fair. And we used to have Cornelius, we used to show the whole pitch of Cornelius pitching the Doris, the helping hand idea, to his cronies at the end of the movie. And I seem to remember us having the same kind of speech written for him, the same structure to that. And actually, I think we recorded it with Tom Selleck, but we didn't have the time in the movie to use it. But those little things, those little details, I really like having in here. Mr. Willerstein, I wanted to just give a nod to Tom Kenny. You know, Willerstein was kind of one of those characters that was very ordinary. When we brought in Tom Kenny and let him read it, he was one of those actors who's brilliant at improvisation. And he took what we'd written and just with little tiny tweaks to the lines, made it a specific voice. Suddenly, Mr. Willerstein came to life, and there was some humor in him. There was, again, something very specific about him. It's really important, I think, for characters to all speak specifically, all with their own voice. They can't all sound the same because that's not the way people are. Everybody's different.
Okay, and we are walking in a calm, orderly fashion.
Doris is an interesting character. Again, completely an invention of Don Hall's. The original script referred to the villain as always wearing a bowler hat. It was a completely different character. It wasn't referred to as the bowler hat guy or anything, but it was in the descriptions, it was a very specific costuming choice that John Bernstein put in there, that this guy wore a bowler hat. And there was really no story reason for it. And I think in a funny way, it kind of irked Don. I think Don thought, well, I'm going to give it a reason. And he created a character out of the hat. This is the second time now we see Lewis up on the roof of the orphanage. In John Bernstein's original script, he had one of Lewis's emotional moments up on the roof of the orphanage, and we thought that was neat. And that continued to evolve as we boarded, and it kind of became his sanctuary, where he goes to be by himself, where he goes to, most likely, every time he gets rejected, he goes up there. When he's feeling vulnerable, he goes up there to get away from it all. It kind of evolved in something a little more symbolic about Lewis and where he's at and the kind of kid he is. You know, this orphanage is not a place he wants to be. He wants to get out of there, as well as the city. This whole place, this whole environment, to him represents something he wants to get away from. And as we kept playing with him up on the roof, we thought, well, this makes a lot of sense because he wants to get out of that. He wants to get as far away from the congestion and the noise and the boxed in feeling of this urban environment. So he's going to get up on the roof so he can breathe. He's trying to get as close to the sky as he can. Not just the adoption problems that he's going through in the orphanage, but just the overall unappealing quality of this city. that made a lot of sense to us, it started to then inform the way we would design the world. So it made sense then that this environment's going to be very boxed in. You want to design the past or present, as we refer to it, in an unappealing way, so that the future can then be the opposite of that. And here's a kid who lives in this kind of oppressive environment. When he grows up to be an adult and has the ability to change the world, he's going to make it the opposite. He's going to make it better than what he had. So it started then informing art direction choices, design choices. The past, or like I said, the present day where Louis lives is very boxy. The shapes are rectangles and squares, and you have a lot of horizontals and verticals, very uninteresting shapes. Not a lot of dynamic quality to it. The buildings are always obliterating the sky. You don't get access to the sky in this environment. Contrasted by in the future, it's the opposite of that. Buildings, the shape language is circles and curves with some triangles thrown in there, and diagonals for more of a dynamic quality to it.
What are you doing? Let go of me!
Okay.
The sky is always evident. Nothing obliterates the sky. The sky is always blue. It's always clear. The air is clean. Little white puffy clouds here and there, and it's always evident. The sky became very symbolic in this movie. This moment right here is a perfect example. In order for Wilbur to restore Louis's hope, he has to take him through the clouds, away from that cloud layer, up into the blue sky, where we then transition to the future. So again, using the sky as a symbol of what Louis is going through. Our score was written by Danny Elfman. This is my favorite music cue in the whole movie. This was, I believe this was the first demo Danny ever played for us at his studio, at his house, and it was just on synthesizers. But as I listened to it, I tell you, not to be corny, but boy, my eyes started misting up as I heard this for the first time. It was nothing like what I expected, but exactly what I wanted. I love getting to see a glimpse of Space Mountain in our future, the Todayland joke by our friend Nathan Greno. He's a pretty smart guy. I think it's really fun to see that there's a corner of our future that pays homage to Walt's future. One of the influences on this future city, for me personally at least, was the Disney theme parks. If anything rivals my love of Disney animation, it's my love of Disney theme parks.
My lifetime.
The futurism of the Disney organization, and Walt Disney was such a forward thinker and really was out to make the world a better place through technology, through imagination, through entertainment. The hope and the optimism that Walt Disney had about the future is directly in line with the hope and optimism Louis Flash Cornelius has about the future. And I was always really inspired as a kid by places like Tomorrowland at Disneyland or Epcot in Florida. Epcot being the standing for the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, which is all about future. It was all designed to talk about how we can make the future better, and that was really Walt's vision from the very beginning. Was to come up with a place where you could explore that. We're really happy that we were able to make a connection between those two things.
I am so dead. I'm not allowed to look at this thing, let alone drive it. Mom and Dad are gonna kill me, and I can tell you this.
To mention our friend Bill Joyce here, obviously this movie was based on his book, A Day with Wilbur Robinson. Bill was really excited about designing a future, and along with Dave Getz, our art director, who was responsible for the future environments in the movie, and our design team, I think we came up with an unbelievably gorgeous and really unique future. The bubble travel is an example of something that Bill came up with. One of his development pieces that he drew had people floating around in bubbles, and we thought, that's a cool idea. Bill obviously was really giddy about this environment, and his designs were really instrumental in creating that environment.
Wait, Yes. Oh, and for the second one, I'd like a medium thin crust with, just extra cheese. That should be fine. And the last one is a large, thick crust, and could you perhaps put pepperoni on it in the shape of a smiley face? Oh, fantastic! Oh, you're so wonderful.
Good day,
Pardon me?
madam. I'm here.
How much?
Change the future.
Yes, sir.
I must speak.
all
with
I
the
have
man
is
in charge.
$4 and
Yes, sir.
see,
I have an appointment with Destiny.
50,
Very good,
60,
sir. I'll let Smith know.
63 cents.
Directly to
Wait.
Hold on. I have a coupon. Yes, I do. That might help. We're back on. I'll call you back later. Thank you.
2 o'clock.
Doris,
You're the
I thought you said it was going to take a while.
Yes.
That
Yes,
was
I
not
am.
20 minutes. All right, now, where were we? Ah, yes, the commentary.
Short course.
Well, it all started 3 years ago as I was driving down Hollywood Boulevard in my convertible.
No, wait, Doris! Doris, it's happening again! Get it back! We're losing the signal again!
All right, I turned that again. Chris, are you sure you didn't hear that?
Let me check something.
Can we maybe get some new headphones?
Sure, no problem. I'll be right back.
All right. While they're doing that, let's keep talking. He started out the original script. He wasn't even called Bowler Hat Guy. He was first called Morpheus Pink,
Remember,
and then he was called Mortimer Clinch.
why don't you
He was a rival inventor of Cornelius Robinson. He was a hack completely.
without a head
Really never invented anything that worked or had any value to society. But he was desperately after fame and fortune and wanted to beat Cornelius at the inventing game. So he heard about the time machine, he stole it, and he went back to the science fair to ruin Cornelius's life. So that was all there. So we used a lot of the characters from Bill Joyce's original book in the movie, except for Bowler Hat Guy. Bowler Hat Guy was not in the original book. He was a creation completely made for the movie, for the film purposes. Every great Disney movie, of course, needs a villain. So we had to come up with one of those, and we did in Bowler Hat Guy. But Bill Joyce did have an impact on the character. He loved the character when he first saw him and thought he was exactly what the movie needed. And we have Bill to thank for the fantastic Curly Q comb over.
Well, then let me close the blinds.
Wait,
Now,
We were stumped again, and we were staring at the walls of the story room silently and brain dead and not knowing what to do with a particular story problem about this character. I seem to remember all of us, it was very quiet. And suddenly Nathan said, well, there's always that idea, and we all knew exactly what he was going to say. And we all at the same point said, yeah, we know what you're going to say, that Bowler Hat Guy is at that time we were talking about Goob, the roommate, and we said, you're going to say that the villain is the roommate. And he said, yeah. And we all thought, and we immediately just started threading that through the movie to see what would happen. How would it derail anything? Would it mess anything up? And it actually didn't. It made it even stronger. But I was still, personally, I was kind of skeptical of the whole thing. I thought, can we really get away with having two secret identities like that? We have the Louis Cornelius thing, and then we'd have the villain thing. And can we get away with that kind of thing? But we thought, let's try it. It sounds worth trying. And of course, Bowler Hat Guy has his bowler hat. His sidekick, his confidant, Doris. Every great Disney villain has a sidekick, but someone they can talk to, someone they can talk about their evil plans, they can commiserate with, they can hatch new plans. And it was very clear that we needed something like that. Doris began life as the typical kind of sidekick who was subordinate to the villain, but then as the story evolved, became much more and actually became the dominant of the duo.
we must find that boy.
We don't usually do in our movies. It's kind of unique, where the hero and the villain have the same goal. They have the same lesson to learn. They both have to learn the lesson, keep moving forward.
Well, fine, but
And they're not necessarily at cross purposes. They don't have different philosophies that are at war with each other. They have the same issue. And I thought that was pretty cool. That wasn't something we really set out to do consciously. It's one of those things I think that made itself known as the movie evolved. It's kind of a cliche to say, but you'll hear a lot of filmmakers or screenwriters say that as a story evolves, it tells you what it wants to be. The story tells you what it wants to be, or the characters tell you who they want to be. I started thinking that I think the movie, I think it might be less of the hero-villain kind of protagonist-antagonist thing, and more of a co-protagonist situation where we're telling a story about two characters. The A story is definitely Lewis. The B story is Bowler Hat Guy. Two characters with the same journey, the same lesson to learn.
well, that was unexpected.
I wanted to talk about Carl the robot for a bit. Carl, I think, is one of my favorite characters. He was a lot of fun to draw, and he was a lot of fun to write for, especially the dynamic between Carl and Wilbur, and then also Carl, Wilbur, and Lewis. He had an interesting evolution as well. In our first screening, we didn't really know what to do with him. We had him in the movie, but he didn't have much of a role. He was kind of a background character. We played around with this idea that he has a dual personalities, that when he's with the family and when he's talking to Lewis, he has the very British thing going on. But then when he leaves the room and he starts talking with Wilbur, oh, hey man, how's it going? He lets that go and he becomes, a really relaxed kind of character.
Hey, ring my doorbell. No. Ring my doorbell. Ring it. Look at this doorbell. Ring it. Yes.
Nathan Greno, our story artist, was really the one who built the foundation for the Wilbur-Carl relationship. And he came up with the kind of the older brother, best friend relationship between Wilbur and Carl, as well as the notion of Carl being Wilbur's safety net. Wilbur being a kid who has a very short attention span, 13-year-old kid who, can't focus on one thing for 5 minutes, gets into trouble constantly. And luckily though, he has his robot pal to bail him out.
Then he fixes the time machine.
Why is it an acorn?
Harlan Williams, the actor who did the voice, is an incredible improviser. The ad-libs that he comes up with are nobody else in the world would ever come up with the things that Harlan does. He has such a unique brain, and again, it's specific. Nobody else but this guy, this actor, and then consequently this character would say the things that Harlan says.
Chance that I do.
A slight chance, yeah. You know what?
The other thing that he brought was the heart and the charm to Carl. Harlan, as a person, is this big, friendly, open, extroverted guy. And he brought that side of himself to the character. I don't know if he did it intentionally or not, but things like Carl referring to Wilbur as little buddy all the time, that was Harlan. He just kept throwing that in. Hey, little buddy. Hey, little buddy. And yeah, that worked perfect because you really felt that these two characters cared about each other. The tricky thing about having somebody like Harlan is that he gives you so much that you want to use every single ad-lib he does because it's so great. And I was always trying to find ways to cram the Harlan stuff in there because it was so great. But he's one of those characters that's a really tricky thing because you don't want to upset the balance of the movie. And the reality is that Carl is not an A-level character. He's a B-level character, not in terms of importance or in terms of appeal, but in terms of the role that they play in the movie. Wilbur Lewis and Bowler Hat Guy are the focus. They are the A-level characters. Characters like Grandpa, Franny, Carl, Mildred. Those are the B-level characters. You need to always keep them in that priority so that they don't outweigh really what the movie's about. And it would have been so easy to make Act 2 the Carl the Robot show with as brilliant as Harlan was and is.
Cut. Welcome to the garage. Well, I'm complete.
So the Robinsons. We've got the Robinsons. The sequence is essentially the book. We wanted to make sure that we had as much of the book in the movie as we could. And the book is Lewis who's not named Lewis, who's not named anything actually in the book, meeting the Robinsons and going on the big teeth hunt and spending a day with them.
Go?
The family was an interesting evolution as well. Nathan Greno was the primary creator of these characters. He broke the ground on them and did many of the sequences, many of the versions. They didn't really have specific personalities initially. Because the first screening we did, we were so concerned with the Lewis Wilbur Bowler Hat stories that we treated the family as just a big group of very general personalities. And that clearly wasn't going to work. Again, a placeholder idea. We got a lot of notes to say, we want to know more about the family. So we kept trying to evolve their personalities. At one point, we kind of pinned up a lot of artwork and drawings and storyboards and things, and we just started talking about them. And we said, what we should do is, the first thing we should think about is that each one should have some kind of a visual work, so that you could just look at the character and you'd get a smile. You'd have a chuckle at who they are, or you'd get to know something about them. Just the image of them could get a smile on your face. So we did that, and that's where they really kind of came together. That's where we did where the grandpa with his clothes on backwards came from, where Gaston with that crazy spring helmet on his head to shoot himself out of the cannon.
Strange.
Uncle Art was still the book. We retained him. He's such a great design from the book. Where Fritz and Petunia came from, we had an Uncle Fritz and an Aunt Petunia, and they were just two people. But Nathan had said, I was in Vegas recently, and I saw this really bad ventriloquist act. And he said, what if Aunt Petunia isn't actually a human being? She's a puppet, and Uncle Fritz is a really horrible ventriloquist. And we thought, that's weird, and why not? Let's do that. You see a lot of Wilbur's body language echoed in the Robinsons. Obviously, he's part of the Robinson family, so the Robinsons are very tactile. If you notice, they're always touching or grabbing or pulling you, putting their arm around you. Again, Wilbur does the same thing. They don't really have a sense of personal space. They get their face right in your face, and they talk to you, nose to nose with you. So somebody like Lewis, who's not used to this, it is a bit off-putting, and you got to get used to that. That's totally the Robinsons. They're doing one thing, and they're enjoying that, and something new comes, and they go, oh, over here, and they go do that thing, and the other thing's been forgotten. Very, very childlike. That childlike idea of what's the shiniest toy, and that's where I'm going to go to. And if something new comes in the room, I'm going to go look at that over there. The childlike innocence, the freedom to do what you want to do at any given moment is really what they're about. Play your whim. I've used a lot as a kind of a way to describe them. Whatever you want to wear your clothes on backwards, do it. Why not? There's no reason to not do it. As long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting anybody else, go for it. That's really their attitude.
Louis, I told you to stay in the garage.
I did, but I went up the tube and I ran into your family and
You met my family?
Pop quiz. Again, I got to give credit to Nathan Greno. Came up with this pop quiz.
And what have you learned?
We said, it'd be fun to do a little recap at the end of this sequence. We just met so many family members. What if we do that? We didn't have an idea. And Nathan said, okay, I'll go play around with something. And he came back and he pitched this thing complete with Tom Selleck gag. And just floored us all because we did not expect it. And then ultimately was, expertly timed by Ellen Kinnishay, our editor. The beats and the pauses she got in there. It's just one of those moments that, again, really hasn't changed from the very beginning. The first time Nathan pitched it to the first time he put it on reels and to today, it's more or less identical to the way Nathan pitched it. And it was because it was so funny. So here we have a really great sequence. I think this was the first sequence to go into production and has, barely changed since then. Orion Redson did this sequence. This was his baby. It was kind of a co-venture between Michelle Spitz, our writer, and Orion.
I've got you now.
This stuff right here. My name is Mikey Goobian. People call me Goob. That was Michelle. Before we connected Bowler Hat Guy and Goob, we had this moment of the villain going to the orphanage and bumping into Lewis's roommate.
Called me puke.
The kid was like a constant question asker. One of those kids that's like, hey, mister, what are you doing? Hey, mister, hey, mister, hey, mister. And it was a great way to, again, take that serious persona and just knock the wind out of its sails. And then when we connected the two, characters, we thought, wow, that completely changes the sequence. Now he's talking to himself. What would he say to himself? And we thought, well, he would say the anti-pep talk. He'd give him an anti-pep talk. He would actually say, when Goob describes what he's going through with the game, he would say, yeah, and in order for me to exist, me, the evil side of you, you got to let it fester and boil. You got to, don't let go of this moment. Hold on to it and let it corrupt you. And that made perfect sense. There was behind Goob, when he's on the bed, the walls are getting kind of green. Green became the color of Bowler Hat Guy. You'll see green all throughout, representing him. Goob's baseball uniform is green. The view screen that he looks at has the little Doris camera feed is green. That kind of became his color to represent him.
Is that boy? Oh, good idea.
I love the fact that we have actors who can double up on characters and do different voices. In the tradition of the Mel Blancs of the world of animation, and Ethan Sandler is right up there in my book. He did Cousin Laszlo. He did the Inventco CEO. He did Spike and Dimitri. He did Fritz and Petunia, both. And he did Doris, believe it or not. A lot of Doris's sounds are not just sounds, they're actually Ethan's vocals, where Ethan just sat in the microphone and went, beep, beep, and did all that. And then our editorial team took it and pitched it and sped it up and altered it in the computer. The things we made Ethan go through to do that. I mean, again, if you saw a recording session of Ethan doing Doris, you just think that I can't believe that a giant Hollywood studio is paying somebody to do this. Every day we were recording with Ethan, I just look forward to getting down here in the recording room to do it. He was a dream.
That is an excellent question. Robinson Industries, the world's leading scientific research and design factory. My dad runs the company. They mass produce his...
I've always loved this sequence. This one was one of mine that I boarded and wrote. This stuff at the beginning, Nathan Greno added this stuff kind of at the last minute, and some stuff at the end as well. But the discussion about the prototypes was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed working on that. I was just cleaning out my office recently, going through some old stuff, and I forgot how many times we did pass it the sequence, how many different versions, and Carl was involved in it at one point, and it's one of those kind of mid-Act 2 moments where you're afraid that you're treading water. You want something to be going on, but I really like getting the history of the time machine in here, the history from Wilbur's point of view as well. It's not a technical history. It's not about the science of the thing. It's, how would Wilbur, from Wilbur's point of view, this is how his dad created the time machine. It's kind of a surface count of that.
I'm ignoring you for time reasons. This, my friend, is merely...
We talked a lot about the philosophy of Louis/Cornelius and how he designs things, his method of inventing. And it led to this notion that the first time machine that works is actually very scratch built. And he essentially took a typical flying car of the future and hacked the wing off and mounted this time drive onto it. And if you look inside the time machine, it's all the upholstery has kind of been ripped out, and it looks very scratch built, very much like the memory scanner. The memory scanner is a lot of pieces just kind of thrown together to make the invention work. Once he gets the inventions to work, then he thinks about designing it for the consumer. So that led to the design of the second time machine, the one that Bowler Hat Guy stole, being much more sleek and much more dynamic in the way it looks. And they were brilliantly designed by a lot of people. Kevin Nelson, Paul Kashik, and Rob Ruppel, our art director. Louis / Cornelius pulls from whatever he has around him, assembles an invention, and once he finally gets that thing to work. So if we had seen Louis continue with the memory scanner, I think the next version of the memory scanner would have been all the inner workings would have been encased in a really pleasing shell, and it would have been designed a lot more. There would have been much more effort put into that, because we knew the character and we knew where the story was, and we had so much history that we were dealing with. We were able to make that factor into the design and have it motivated by a story and by the character. So coming up is the turn him into a duck speech. Another brilliant piece of dialogue written by Michelle Spitz.
Now, to lure him out of the house. I know! I'll blow it up! Listen! No, that won't work. And he'll be dead. I'll turn him into a duck. Yes, it's so evil. I don't know how to do that. I don't really need a duck.
That's one of those pieces that you read the dialogue and you go, man, I can't wait to get down to the recording room and read this, because it's just so funny and has so much texture to it. Brilliantly animated by Dick Zondag. One of these real quintessential bowler hat guy moments of idiocy and buffoonery. Dinner sequence. I talked about a lot of sequences that stayed similar over the course of the development. This one was one of the ones that changed the most. This was a really hard sequence to crack. You got to make it not just talking heads. You got to keep advancing the story and find ways of keeping it interesting. The point of this sequence was really, this is the moment that Lewis and the Robinsons have to be able to say, we're like each other. Lewis is like the Robinsons are like Lewis. We oftentimes looked at the Lewis Robinson story as a love story. The Meet the Robinson sequence earlier was the meeting, the initial meeting. This is the date where they go out and find out they have a lot in common. And then later, we're going to get the commitment, when the Robinsons say, we want to adopt you. Because that's really what it was. This Act 2, the meat of Act 2 had to be about Lewis falling in love with the Robinsons and starting to divert his attention away from wanting to find his mom.
So, Lewis.
Nicole Sullivan is the voice of Franny, and she's just brilliant. You give her the line, she knows exactly what you're doing. She knows exactly the effects we're trying to go for, whether it's funny or emotional. And she nails it. We didn't have that many recording sessions with her because she was so good. She's also one of those people that you can say, with that line right there, why don't you play around with something else? Or why don't you add a little bit of something? Obviously, she's a brilliant comedian. And, the funny side of Franny, I knew she was going to nail. The emotional side of Franny was such a great surprise when Nicole came in and just made these moments so real and gave it so much heart. Dave Getz, our co-art director, came up with this great lighting change, and our animators, Jason Anastas and Randy Haycock, came up with this notion of throwing it out of sync. This was a moment we've had this meatball fight in for a long time. We had different ways of getting into it, and a lot of times we struggled with not making it feel like too much of a left turn and coming out of nowhere, and there were plenty of versions that did. But some writers that helped us out at the end of the day, Dan Gerson and Rob Baird, came up with the whole hat thing about taking off the hat, and it was a good way to get into the meatball fight because it gave us a chance to have Wilbur orchestrate it as a means of getting everybody off the subject of wanting to see Lewis's hair, about the whole cowlick thing, and that was really fun.
Okay, gang, time for the second chord. And what goes better with meatballs than PB&J?
Hey, that's just like...
Stupid!
Carl? Is everything all right?
We're just experiencing bugs.
Just what the doctor ordered. My friend Lewis is an inventor. He can fix it.
Over, you know I can.
I've been an Adam West fan forever. And who better to play Uncle Art? Adam completely got the bravado and that sort of the long-windedness of Uncle Art. What's funny about Adam is that he doesn't do funny things. He's always playing it completely straight. But funny because of his delivery, because of the way he says it. He doesn't mug or put on funny voices. The truth of his performance is what's so funny.
One dragonfly in the rocks, please.
Frogs. The frogs. Our friends, the frogs. Orion Redson was really the guy who created these characters, came up with the whole Rat Pack vibe, and wrote a lot of this dialogue. And Orion is also the voice of Frankie. He's one of our story artists. And these were really his creations.
Come on, Doris, get the signal back. How long does it take? It's time to do this. Whoa, look at that. Eating the fly. I'm a frog with a hat on. Oh, hello there, Mr. Frog. How are you today? I am fine. Oh, hee. Ho, 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 ho. That's a nice hat. Thank you. Where did you get that hat? I got it at the hat store. Oh.
Excellent.
Oh, how much did you pay for that hat? I got it on sale. Oh, boy. Come on, Doris. Oh, Doris, come on.
How's it looking?
Wonder what Frankie's up to these days. Should give him a call. We should get some lunch. Oh, Doris? Doris! Oh, we're back! Oh, wonderful. Hello, people. Back for the commentary. Here we are. Now, ready? It all started 3 years ago, as I was sunning myself on the beach in my orange and green thong.
And what? No! Doris, the signal's going again. Get it back. Oh.
Was thought through.
All right, okay, guys, that time I totally heard another voice. There was like is there another session going on in the next door or something?
I'll check around one more time for you. Okay, let me check something.
You didn't hear that? All right, well, let's see, where were we? The peanut butter and jelly thing, it's kind of a step in the direction towards connecting Louis to the family, because we saw the peanut butter and jelly gun before, and now we see that they've got one. I like the idea of the failure thing coming up, kind of an extension of the keep moving forward idea, but to actually say it's okay to fail. That was also Dan Gerson and Rob Baird who came up with that.
From failing, you learn. From success, not so much.
I gave up every time I failed.
Boy, did Danny Elfman sell this moment or what with his music. This just killed us when he played it for us for the first time. Completely not what I expected again, but the perfect music for this moment. So this is setting up this dino was quite an adventure. We didn't want to telegraph it too badly because we wanted it to be somewhat of a surprise when suddenly this Tyrannosaurus Rex shows up. But we needed to make sure everybody knew what he was doing. And the lucky thing was we had a dinosaur topiary already on the grounds of the house, so we were able to use that as a device just to kind of give you a sense that okay, something's up. And when the dinosaur shows up, you kind of connect those dots. I love being able to have Doris enter the house, something that was a kind of a late addition to the movie, but it's great because in prior versions, both Bowler Guy and Doris stayed outside and tried to get Louis away from the house, but actually having her infiltrate the house was really cool. Joe Mateo came up with this stuff, and it was great to really get her much more threatening and walking around the house and doing things that no one is realizing, but she's up to no good. And you really see that she's the evil one of the two. The bowler hat guy is the brawn, she's the brains, and you're really seeing that her methodical and calculating way of thinking. And it was just cool to be able to have her in the house, crawling around, just creepy. So this is another one of the sequences that had tons of evolution. We had a lot of different ideas for this sequence. This is a Joe Mateo special. The storyboard artist Joe Mateo did countless versions of these. Every single one of them was different. We try to keep our story artists on the sequences that they originate all throughout the course of a movie. We try to, I like doing that. People have ownership of the moments in the movie that they're doing, and if you're able to follow a sequence all the way through the process, and it's just much more satisfying. So we did that with Joe. Joe might regret that we chose to do that because we put him through the ringer on this sequence. Like I said, every version that he did was different.
You messed with the wrong family!
Ding dong, pizza's here.
Okay, everybody. This dino's deep dished.
One of the biggest ideas that we had a couple years ago was to fight the dinosaur. Carl actually grew to giant size portions, about the same size as the dinosaur, and Wilbur and Lewis got inside of Carl and controlled him, kind of like a video game. They had these like virtual reality helmets and gloves and boots that they could, by swinging their fists, they controlled Carl's fist, and Carl would then punch the dinosaur. It tended to feel like a different movie. Suddenly we were doing some kind of weird action sci-fi thing that didn't really fall in line with the rest of the movie. So we ended up getting rid of that. We just could never make that work. In favor of what we ended up on is much more of focusing it on the family, and having this really be about the moment where the family puts their neck out on the line for Lewis, and that we'll see in a minute, where Lewis says, "You sacrificed so much for me." And, all the things that made them who they were, the Uncle Art spaceship and Laszlo's paint gun and the cannon and Bill Aunt Billy's train, they were willing to sacrifice those things for Lewis. And it really gave us a sense of how much they care for him. And it meant a lot to Lewis. So it was great to be able to have that opportunity it took us a while to get there, but steering the sequence to that place made it much more satisfying, and especially when we get to the end of the sequence and we move into the next sequence where they offer to adopt him, that moment of realization on Lewis when he looks at the family and he realizes what they all did for him, somebody that they barely even know. They don't even know. They've just known him for a few hours, but yet they care about him so much that they would go through these great lengths to save his life.
Oh no!
To see Doris's rage. Cool to be able to see Doris's rage seething at how angry she is at Bullard guy.
Nice catch.
Nice meatball shooting. Guess we made a pretty good team, huh?
Yeah, guess we did.
Are you boys all right?
We're good, Mom.
Yeah, did you see us take out that dinosaur? Oh, man, it was so...
I want to talk about three brilliant actors. The voice of Wilbur is Wesley Singerman.
Lewis,
and the voice of Lewis is actually two young men. One man named Daniel Hansen, who's now about 16 or 17, and another young man named Jordan Fry. Unfortunately, we were battling with nature on this movie, since it took about 4 years to make this movie, and we cast our kids as 12-year-olds, 3 years ago or so, 3-4 years ago. And we lost battle with nature as to voices changing. And Lewis's voice, Daniel Hansen, was the original Lewis, and he was a fantastic kid, really defined this character, and was just brilliant at bringing Lewis to life. Fortunately, he grew up, and we weren't able to use him after a while. So we found Jordan Fry, who was a dead ringer for Lewis. There's places in the movie, all throughout the movie, where half a sentence is Daniel and the other half of the sentence is Jordan, and you can't tell the difference. So we were really lucky to find Jordan, and he came through for us and did, as the movie, as we continue to make story changes and rewrite stuff, Jordan then was able to come in and take over the role and continue to bring Lewis to life. And Wesley, as Wilbur, Wesley grew up too. Again, we got him when he was 12. Now he's 17. In fact, a few months ago when we saw him last, he had his driver's license. He joked that I can drive myself to the premiere now. I started when I was 12, and now I can drive myself to the premiere.
Being a good friend.
We were never able to find a sound-alike for Wesley that we could cut up against Wesley's old lines of dialogue. It was too obvious that they were different kids. So we ended up replacing all of Wesley's dialogue, all of Wilbur's dialogue through the movie with Wesley today, with Wesley as 17-year-old Wesley. And it sounds fantastic. Wesley's an incredible actor. really charismatic young man, and came through for us and pulled off quite a feat, replacing pretty much the whole movie with new dialogue. But really great kids. We were so lucky to have these kids because I think the movie, when we first screened it, I think the acting of Daniel and Wesley in that first screening sold the movie more than anything else. Originally what we would have done, instead of actually hiring kids to come in and do those voices that early on, we would have had ourselves do it. We would have done the temp voices ourselves. So we would have had, 30 some odd year old men doing 12-year-old kids, and we would have been dead. If those actors, if these characters don't come off, Lewis and Wilbur, not going to have a movie. They're it. They're the main characters. It's really about those two, and that relationship between those two. And we have Daniel and Wesley and Jordan. Thank for that.
Back in time to meet the mother he never knew. But they won't let him. We let him go. Too bad we don't have a time machine. Oh, we do.
Bowler hat guy?
Hello, Lewis.
What do you want?
To make your dream come true. All you have to do is put Humpty Dumpty back together again, and we'll take you back to find your mommy.
Louis! Let's just talk about this, Louis. Come on! I know you're around here somewhere. Louis!
So you see the green again. This is very green. The green glow on Bowler Hat Guy. That kind of came from that, and I found this painting, and the sky was a really eerie green. Had a really eerie green cast to it. And I took this to Rob and I said, "Hey, this green's kind of cool. What if this is, what if this is what the evil future city looks like? And we have these green clouds." And it brought everything together. And we started brainstorming, Rob and I, and that could be the color. And that and Rob was the one that gave it the story reason. He said, "Well, Bowler Hat Guy is jealous of Lewis. He's green with envy. So have that be his representative color." You'll see it all through this too. In the old orphanage room, very green cast to it. Rob had a kind of a green spot on Bowler Hat Guy back in the Invenco sequence when he was pitching the memory scanner. It's all through the movie.
Father of the future, inventor extraordinaire, keep moving forward.
That's not me. That's Wilbur's dad. Are you saying that I'm Wilbur?
So here we get to the reveals. Like I said before, I didn't think we were going to be able to get away with this. When we screened this, I thought that people would be really surprised by the Louis Cornelius thing. When the other shoe dropped and we said that Bowler Hat Guy was goo, people would go, "Oh, please, come on. Now you're really reaching now. That's okay. Thank you very much." And that the idea would go away. I never expected it to live on beyond that first screening. And I was completely wrong about that. And I was told by people that from now on I should lie and say that we intended this all along. But I got to come clean. I got to be honest. We didn't. It was quite a surprise, that first initial screening, this moment where he flings his cape off and you reveal the baseball outfit underneath. It was one of the moments, it was probably the most euphoric moment of my career, to hear the audience at that particular theater just go up in laughter and shock and gasps and all that. It was amazing to see that. So there you go. That's kind of with these movies, they tell you what they are and who they want to be. And, you got to get out of the way. You got to make sure that you let the movie evolve where it's going to go. And it's thematic. That's the thing. Again, talking about always needing a theme to make everything come together. It hits the theme. Bowler Hat Guy is on theme, or anti-theme, I should say. Lewis and Bowler Hat Guy are both anti-theme. Wilbur is the theme. Wilbur is keep moving forward. He is the embodiment of keep moving forward.
It was yours. If you hadn't kept me up all night working on your stupid project, then I wouldn't have missed the catch. So I devised a brilliant plan to get my revenge.
So this moment we used to play out differently. Bowler Hat Guy meeting Doris, and it was a different relationship that we had. We used to show the door open there, and Doris get kicked out, and on the side of her was a sticker that said "reject," and that was as much backstory as we ever really gave as to who she was. We had the rest. We had this backstory right here that we're seeing. This idea that she was an invention, a helping hat that Cornelius that kind of went wrong, that malfunctioned, and Cornelius gave it the boot. That was always in our heads, but we never actually had it in the movie. And I remember pitching that idea to John Lasseter when he came in, and he said, "Oh, you should put that in the movie. That should go in there, and that should be the whole motivation for this character." And so it changed the dynamic. Interesting note. We'd never really gotten that note before, and we thought about it, and we thought, well, then let's bring Doris even more to the forefront. In our minds, she was always the smart one, and she had this backstory. She had this grudge against Cornelius. So why not make her the one that is the true threat? Change the relationship a little bit. The original dynamic was a little bit more on an even playing field. They both needed each other. They both had the same goal, which was to get back at Cornelius, and they needed each other. And Doris kind of, she tolerated his stupidity in the old version. It was we almost kind of saw it as a boyfriend girlfriend kind of thing. I know that sounds weird to say, but it was more of an even relationship. The two characters on the same level, and again, Doris just tolerated his idiocy because she needed him. So when we got the note from John, we thought, well, let's do something different. Let's make her not tolerate the idiocy. Let's make it more like a mother-son relationship. It was important to us to preserve the character of Bowler Hat Guy. We've always thought of him as a man-child. He's Goob. He's a 6-year-old boy trapped in this decrepit, deteriorating 36-year-old adult body. So that's the genesis of all his gestures and his, what a stupid way to turn it on, and crossies doesn't count, sticking the tongue on it. He's very childlike. He's very much like a little kid still. It made sense that addressing the note that John gave about Bowler Hat Guy being a threat, instead of making Bowler Hat Guy more threatening or changing his personality, we thought, let's make Doris the threat, and we can then keep his personality and keep his childishness intact.
Doris, would you be a dear and open the hatch for me, please?
Well, I hate to foil your evil plan and run, but ta-ta!
I bet you're glad to see me.
Oh, that's for not locking the garage door.
You know about that?
I know everything.
You gotta admit, this will be a great story to tell me someday.
Look at that, boys! We're almost home!
No!
Take a good look around, boys, because your future is about to change.
Louis, you have to fix the time machine.
No, I can't.
I love this part of Danny's score right here. This is, again, another moment, not what I expected, but exactly what I wanted. Is perfect. This stuff's really cool, all this Evil Future City stuff.
I messed up. I left the garage unlocked.
All the effects and the lighting.
But now it's up to you.
Our crew just did an amazing job at this stuff.
Louis?
We used to get to the Evil Future City in a much different way. Right now, Louis goes into the house, and when he comes out, the city has been transformed. We used to actually, as Bowler Hat Guy was signing the contract, the city was being created in that moment. So Louis was standing in this environment, and buildings were shooting up all around him, and the sky was turning green, and and all that kind of thing. But we had so much with the addition of Doris and making her the true villain, and making the evil future city more driven by her than driven by Bowler Hat Guy. It changed all that, and it didn't make sense to have Bowler Hat Guy be the one who was creating it there in the moment by signing the contract. It made more sense to show that, and to really play up how much of a patsy Bowler Hat Guy was in this relationship, that she just used him. She needs a body. She's a hat. So she has to sit on somebody's head. She can't just fly around because that's awfully conspicuous. She can't just be a hat walking around. So we wanted to really show that she used Bowler Hat Guy for, to get into InventCo and to have him get more hats mass produced. And once that happened, she was done with them. What Danny did here with the score was really, really interesting. The temp score that we had played the threat and the kind of the tension and the scariness of this whole moment all the way through. But he hits that Lewis theme right there as Lewis falls over the edge and turns it into a heroic moment. Lewis is kicking into gear now. He's finally the kid who ripped up his notebook earlier in the movie and who said, I can't do this and I can't fix the time machine and I can't. Finally he says, I can, and I have to. I have to do this because I know what my future is. I love that family. I love that future. I created that future. I got to get that back. He has to fix this time machine and be, in a sense, Cornelius Robinson. Brian LaFrance was the sequence lead on the Evil Future City. And, I don't even know where to begin to say how gorgeous this Evil Future City is. It's just so rich with detail. All the effects department led by Michael Kashock had many moments to shine in the movie, but this sequence in particular, that Evil Future City, was so dynamic.
Why did I ever invent that stupid hat? Take a good look around, Doris, because your future's about to change.
So, so how do you get rid of Doris? It never, it was tricky. We didn't quite know what to do. We had, but we had an idea in a previous version where he gets rid of her by saying, I'm never going to invent you. And that seemed to make a lot of sense.
I am never going to invent you.
So it was really important, art direction-wise, that we contrast future and present day. Being a time travel story, you got to always know where you're at because we're constantly moving around, flipping back and forth between past and future. So our art direction team of Rob Ruppel and Dave Getz and our assistant art director Karen DeJong were brilliant as far as doing that. We used all kinds of components to do that. Color of the present day is very muted earth tones. You get a lot of browns and grays and brick reds and very muted colors. And when you get to the future, colors just pop. They're I always like to say they're like straight out of the tube. It's like you took the tube of paint, squeezed it out on your palette, you painted with that pure. You didn't mix the colors. If it's red, it is super red. If it's blue, it is the most beautiful blue deep blue you've ever seen. To contrast those two things. The cool thing about computer animation to me was the idea of texture, and something that coming from the 2D animation world was never anything I'd thought about. Present day, you get a lot of rough textures, brick and concrete and kind of rusted metal, that kind of thing, rougher kind of textures. When you get to the future, things are a lot smoother. You get smoother stucco, you get glass, you get this gel kind of material that we use in the Future City a lot. It's like the difference between a brick wall versus an iPod, in terms of texture. You can't kill Bowler Hat Guy because I think you care about him, and we were able to make him vulnerable and humanize him. Especially once you realize he's Goob, he's that cute little kid that you saw in the beginning of the movie. You love him even more.
Are you hurt? Any broken bones?
No, I'm.
So we had this pop quiz moment that Nathan Greno came up with, the Tom Selleck joke. We needed to get permission to use Tom's image in the movie. And we started thinking, well, what would be cool is if it's not just his image, but he actually would do the voice for Cornelius. We don't have to make a big mention of it in the movie or make it be too much of a wink joke to the audience, but it could just be there. It could just be a fun thing for people to discover as the credits are rolling. Oh, that was Tom Selleck who actually did the voice. It just made a lot of sense too. He would be the voice. So we approached Tom, and we were really concerned that he might think we were making fun of his persona with that pop quiz joke. But luckily, I pitched through the story to him and showed him the reels and explained to him really what we were doing. The intent being that, Wilbur's trying to throw Lewis off the scent of who his dad is. Lewis says, "What does Cornelius look like?" So Wilbur is going to choose the thing farthest from his dad. His dad is kind of a nerdy, inventor with blonde spiky hair and goofy glasses and things like that. So of course he's going to choose the manliest, most capable and macho sex symbol guy he can think of to go the opposite way. And luckily Tom was very flattered by that and completely got the joke, knew exactly what we were going for, didn't find anything offensive or inappropriate about the way we were using his image. And about a week or so later, we found out he wanted to do it. He wanted to do the voice, and he gave the permission to use his likeness. A huge victory for us. We were just ecstatic that we had him, and we're going to be able to have him bring Cornelius to life vocally. I think it's rare in these movies that you get to see the entire span of a character's life. We were lucky, with the time travel element. It gave us the chance to really show a history with characters. You get to see this character Lewis as an infant. You get to see him as a 12-year-old boy. You get to see him as a 42-year-old man. You get to see who he marries. You get to see what his kids are like. It's really cool that we were able to do that. There's been movies in the past that I've worked on where I have trouble really imagining the characters beyond the confines of the movie. This movie was completely different, and all these characters, because of that time travel device, you really can hint at so much history.
Are you kidding? No way.
Poor Laurie, when she was doing Grandma,
So many things.
we're trying to get that
very old, kind of pinched, sort of old people voice.
And she had to essentially strangle herself. She put both hands up at her neck
And kind of constricted her windpipe like that.
Turned out great for the voice. I just felt awful for Laurie having to sit there, across the room and watch her strangling herself to get the voice.
I'm right.
We actually used to go from Lewis saying goodbye to the family right to the rooftop of the orphanage where Wilbur and Lewis say goodbye. Lewis's quest for his mom actually didn't take him in the time machine to that actual moment where his mom gave him up. We actually used to wrap that up at the science fair. And the memory scanner worked, and he saw the image of his mom, and he decided, no, I'm going to turn off that. Before I hear her voice, before I see her face, before she says anything, I'm going to turn off that memory scanner and live for the future. So that's where the moment that he chose to give up the past, let go of the past, and move forward to the future he knows now that he's going to get. We talked more about doing this kind of an idea, that the advantage of having a time machine is you can actually go to this moment and have Lewis live this moment and be a part of it. And what's interesting is that it actually took us back to the very, very, very first idea for the resolution of Lewis's story, which we didn't talk to anybody about. It was just kind of interesting that we got there. The original thing in the script was that the memory scanner was actually, it was it was something that it was more like a lucid dream where you actually go into your subconscious and you experience your memories. You're interacting in your memories, so you're part of it, and you're walking around inside your memories. So Lewis had done that. He punched in the numbers. He returned to this moment, and he found himself standing in the middle of this park. And off in the distance was this bench, and there was a silhouetted figure of a woman on the bench. And he walked over, and the closer he got, he realized this woman was crying. And he looked over her shoulder quietly from behind and saw himself as a baby in her lap. And this was the moment that she was making the decision to give him up or not. And he had then the opportunity to reach out, to touch her, to talk to her, to stop her, to do whatever he wanted to do. And he chose, no, I'm not going to do that. In all the versions of this moment, a lot of the notes we get from people would say that they wanted Lewis to get something out of it, either be it on the memory scanner or in this moment where he's actually right behind his mom. People said, "Oh, I want him to see something, or I want him to hear something, or I want him to get some kind of information from this moment, to have some kind of closure on this moment." I really disagreed with that. To me, to make the purest thematic statement, you can't find any answers in the past. If the movie is about let go of the past and keep moving forward, the past should lead to dead ends. If you spent all your time, if you got in your time machine and you went to the past and you searched and searched and searched for the answers that you're looking for in the past, you should come up empty-handed every single time. You know, if Lewis had gone to the past and got some kind of closure, found out some kind of information, got to see his mom's face, whatever it may be, and also then got this great future, to me, that's not dramatic. It was important that you got to choose. You choose between past or you choose between future. If you choose the past, that's where you are, and that was the choice. You don't get a good future. If you choose the future, the past goes away. You can't have both. I'll get corny for a minute. I remember doing storyboarding this at home. I had taken my work home, and it was on a weekend, I think, and I was storyboarding this stuff. And when I finished the sequence, I just started bawling. I think part of it was because of the exhaustion. That meant we were almost done with putting our screening together. But there was also something about the characters and where these characters were that really touched me as I thought about it, and as I drew these shots and figured out their acting and all that.
I'll just keep coming back till you get it right.
The respect that each of them had now for each other and the different light that they see each other in was really moving to me, as well as the idea I kept going through my head is these characters are never going to see each other the same way ever again. They're going to leave this moment. The next time Wilbur sees Lewis, it's going to be as his dad, back to the dad thing. It's not going to be my best friend. And of course, we end it with a tribute to Bill's book. The last page of Bill Joyce's book, A Day with Wilbur Robinson. Wilbur has shot himself out of Uncle Gaston's cannon, and he's holding a sign that says, "See you later, pal," as Lewis leaves the Robinson house. This is a great moment where Lewis wakes up Goob. As I said, we had played with moving it around to different places. This is its original place. This is right where it was. As we moved it around, the crew who watched the evolution of the movie, a lot of people, it was a very heated topic of debate. A lot of people wanted it back at the end. They loved the kind of the offhanded nature of the moment. It was kind of an afterthought for Lewis. Oh, wait, I got to go do this thing. And by doing that really simple act of just saying, "Goob, wake up," so much changed. The magnitude of what Lewis did in that moment just by saying, "Wake up, Goob," people liked. When we moved it to the climax, we thought it was great. People didn't embrace it as much. Eventually they did, but John Lasseter, when he came in, he saw both our original version, the 2003 version, and the current version we had worked on. So he saw the Goob catch moment in both of its places, and he really said, "It works great at the end. You should find a way to put it back there." So we worked really hard to get it back in that moment, and I think it works great there. I love that moment anywhere in the movie is great, because I think it's just a really fun, hopeful moment for Goob. Again, it really redeems the character. You love the character, even though he's been a villain and he's done bad things, you really understand who he is.
You don't look like a Lewis. You look more like a...
So these moments are great. I love Bud and Lucille at the end here. All the reveals that you get to see. Now we get Franny with her frogs. A brilliant piece of animation by Bob Davies coming up, where she just very unceremoniously plunks the frog into the box. It's perfect for Franny and who she is. The thing I really loved about the movie from the very beginning, the way it was constructed, is that we had so much movie left after the climax. Usually in our movies, you have the big climax, the big action climax, and then once that's over, the rest of it's just a kind of a basic wrap up of everything. We have tons of movie after the climax. We've had all these loose ends to tie up, and all these reveals, and Lewis to see his mom, and the bowler, Goop catching the ball, saying goodbye to Wilbur. There's so much more movie after the climax that our resolution wasn't just about saying, and everybody had lived happily ever after. And I think it made this movie really unique. A great way to end this movie. Rob Thomas's song is just unbelievable. The emotion that the thing that kills me about Rob's song in a good way is, the first line of it is "Let It Go," and which is right on theme. It's perfect. But the irony is that he wrote this song having not ever seen the movie. He said he read the book, and the feelings he got when he read the book, he just sat down and wrote the song. And how in the world do you get what the coincidence of him, the first lyric of the song being "Let It Go," and that being the theme of the movie, and Rob having never seen the movie. It's bizarre to me that happened, but it really, to be corny about it, it really, to me, said this was meant to be. I mean, this had to be the song to end the movie, and he was the artist to do it. We were so lucky to get him. All the music in this movie is just so cool. The bunch of songs that Rufus Wainwright did, Jamie Cullum as the singing voice of Frankie, Rob here at the end, All American Rejects singing Danny's song at the end credits, and of course Danny with his unbelievable score. Now we have our nod again to Walt Disney. Again, like I said a little bit earlier, in my mind I always saw a connection between Cornelius and Walt Disney. The optimism and the desire to make the world a better place. I always saw that correlation, but the comparison stopped at our Tomorrowland or Todayland joke and Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow and all that. And then one day I was looking through, I forget what I was looking through, a magazine or a book or something, and I saw that quote that just came up, that Walt Disney quote, and I couldn't believe it was the fact that Walt Disney actually said those three words, "Keep moving forward," floored me. Because I think I'd read that quote before, but it, just went right over my head because I didn't have any reason for it to resonate. But that was an amazing thing to me. And I showed it to Dorothy McKim, our producer, and to Don Hall. And I said, "Can you believe this?" And they all said, "We should put that at the end of the movie." And I thought, "Oh, really? Huh, I never thought of that." And it became, I'm so glad that we did. I'm glad that they had that idea, because it's a great way to just wrap the movie up. And people, that last image before the credits are the words "Keep moving forward" in the name Walt Disney underneath that. And I think it's really great to leave people with that idea. So I was very excited about that. This movie, I wish I could talk about every single name that you're seeing on these credits here in this commentary. I wish I had a couple of days worth of commentary time to talk about all these people. This crew was just an amazing group of people. If ever there was a crew that lived up to the theme of their own work, it was this crew. Keep moving forward. A lot of obstacles. There's a lot of obstacles in making any movie, but this one had quite a few really huge bumps in the road, and the perseverance and the patience and the dedication that this crew had to this movie and this story and telling this story was a constant source of of joy and relief for me. I just felt so supported and so surrounded by talent that was there to do nothing but tell this story. The story crew I talked a lot about already. That group of people really is what I have to tip my hat to that group. It was the best story experience I ever had, and I've been doing in the story department here at Disney since 1995. I've never sat in a room with a group of story artists that were as fearless as that group, that was willing to collaborate, that had no censorship whatsoever of what they said or what anybody else said. Everybody was just the most free exchange of ideas I've ever experienced in a story room, and it was magic. And I have to say this particular story group, led by Don Hall and Nathan Greno, Orion Retz, and Joe Mateo, and Michelle Spitz, were such a dream and are really the reason why this movie got made. I think because of what they did and the story that they were able to tell, that we were able to get together and tell. So thank you so much. I'm so proud of this movie, and I'm so proud of this crew, and thank you for listening to me ramble on incessantly about this movie. I could talk forever about this movie. It's very special to me. So thank you very much, and we'll see you later.
And there you have it. That's the real behind-the-scenes story of Meet the Robinsons. All the glitz and glamour, and also the ugly side. But that's Hollywood, folks. Well, I hope you've enjoyed hearing this as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. And it's a good thing we were able to finally keep that signal through the whole thing. I'd hate to think that none of it recorded and I'd have to do the whole thing over again. What? 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 Oh! Oh! Well, it all started 3 years ago on Hollywood Boulevard, my green and orange thong, by the pool at the Beverly Hills Hotel, in my convertible. Oh.